Welcome back to The Fish here on OOTP 26, and as you can see, I'm an OOTP god, even though we can't win the World Series, and now I'm forced to play another fucking season of this unplayable game. Don't worry though, they've released a patch since the last time I played this game. Surely there'll be a mention of even one of the issues I've come across consistently in this game, as well as other people in my comments and other people I've talked to have come across consistently. Nope, no issue. None of them mentioned at all. Never have, never will. Have they been mentioned in any of the patch updates that this game has done this season? That would be a no. That would be a no. Not a single one of the issues I have come across has even been mentioned one time on any of the patch notes, because why would they do that? Why would they do that when they could make a KBO overhaul update? Because 0.1% of the player base is playing with the KBO. You know what I've decided? I've decided we're done now. We're done now. We're going back to OTP 25 now. Maybe at some point I will go back and look at some of the numbers we've had with some of these players in their careers, or we can just very quickly, right now, look at some of the history. We're here after the 2036 season. We've got ourselves the team, the franchise leaders in pitchers and batters, starting off with pitchers. The career ERA leader in 869 innings pitched is Pedro Patino, only in front of Josh Johnson. Shout out to him. Jose Hernandez is in here as well, now of the Las Vegas Athletics. Michael King is in here. Ryan Weathers is in here. Ramon Hernandez is top 10. When it comes to single season, there's Pedro Patino, who is only 2 because Kevin Brown had an absurd year in 96. And then the other years we've had in this series are Johnny Brito with a 2.36, Tony Elizalde with a 2.44, and that would be it. When it comes to career wins here in the Marlins, it is Hurston Waldrop with 84, eking out Ricky Nolasco. Ryan Weathers is 3rd for the franchise all-time. Patino is 5th. Ramon Hernandez is 6th. And those are the only guys we've had in this. When it comes to saves, we have not really had anybody getting a shit ton of saves, so we have some guys towards the bottom of the list here. Manuel Clase, for like the 2 seasons he was with us or whatever. Peyton Martin is on this list. And then we never had anybody getting like an insane single-season save number either, because we run stoppers and not closers. When it comes to pitching WAR, we've got Pedro Patino, number 1 all-time, eking out Josh Johnson. Hurston Waldrop is 3. Ryan Weathers is 6. When it comes to a single season, we've got Elizalde, who ties Kevin Brown with a 7 WAR that he had in 96 and 97. Pedro Patino had a 6.3, which is 6th in franchise history. When it comes to games pitched in a single season, we've got this on lock. Number 1, Mike Carrier, pitching 90 games in a single season. Max Meyer, 87. Luke Garreau, 81. Keegan Akin pitched 79. Then there's Braden Looper in 2002. This is 2002 as well. Tony Elizalde with 77. Luke Garreau with 77 and 76. And Christian Scott with 76. And then in their career, we got TJ Griffin here with the 2nd most games pitched in a Florida Marlins career is number 2. Luke Garreau is number 5. Anthony Bennett was with us for like 2 seasons or something, I want to say. How many seasons was he with us? 3. 25, 26, and then 27. And then we got rid of him. And then he was like okay for the rest of his career. And then we also have Keegan Akin, who gets into the top 10 here for games pitched in his career. Games started in a career. Hurston Waldrop, number 1. Ryan Weathers, number 2. Both of them more than Ricky Nolasco and Dontre Willis. Pedro Patino is 6th right now. When it comes to a single season, you got Dontre Willis, who had 35, and then a bunch of 34s. Michael King, Waldrop, and those are the only guys from ours. Obviously, nobody in our era is going to be pitching this many complete games, so we don't have anybody going in here. Same thing when... Oh, no, we do actually have some shutouts. We have Hurston Waldrop getting into the bottom of the list here with 4 shutouts in his career, which is 9th in Marlins history. And then the most innings pitched in his career for the Marlins is Hurston Waldrop. Ryan Weathers, number 3. Pedro Patino, number 7. Ramon Hernandez, number 9. And then the most strikeouts, I mean, this is just Pedro Pedro Patino all over the place. Most in a career, Pedro Patino in significantly less innings. Same with Ramon Hernandez. He's 4th. Ryan Weathers is 3rd. Hurston Waldrop is 2nd. So we have the top 4 guys on this list. We also have number 10 in Michael King. And then strikeouts in a single season. Patino is all over this. He is 1-2-3 with 304, 264, and 258 in a single season. Ramon Hernandez is 238. Then Patino, then King, then Elizalde, then Patino, just dominating this list in single seasons. And then obviously the same thing goes for strikeouts per 9 in a single season. Patino just dominating the top 4 spots. Also has the most per 9 in a career. Hernandez the 2nd most in his career. King is 4th. Braxton Garrett, who we had for a little bit, is 5th. We also have Hurston Waldrop getting 7th, and Ryan Weathers getting 9th. When it comes to whip, Pedro Patino has the lowest whip in Marlins franchise history. Jose Hernandez has the 3rd lowest whip in franchise history. We got Michael King here, Christian Scott, Ryan Weathers, Hurston Waldrop, and then when we go down to, that would be it. That's all we're going to show for the pitchers. And then when it comes to the hitting franchise leaders, we have the career leader. Mark Antonio is number 2, only behind Miguel Cabrera. Nobody else. Jorge Garza. Jorge Garza is number 10. So we have Mark Antonio 2, Jorge Garza number 10 on the batting average career leader. When it comes to single season, we just have one season, or we have Mark Antonio hitting 330 in 2033, and then we have Jalen McCoy hitting 323 in 2036. Then when it comes to on-base percentage for a career, Mark Antonio is 3rd. And then nobody else from our time here. When it comes to a single season, Mark Antonio had the 6th highest with a 403, and that would be it from our series, because the Marlins have had some really good hitters in their career, especially since, this team popped up and had a lot of their best years during the steroid era. And then when it comes to slugging percentage for a career, Mark Antonio does beat out Giancarlo Stanton with a .565 career slugging percentage, obviously in way less plate appearances, but still, he is the career leader here for the Marlins. And then Jorge Garza is number 8 on this list. Those are our only 2 players. And then when it comes to single season, Jalen McCoy already on there with 2 seasons, the 2nd highest and the 4th highest. Mark Antonio on here twice. Those are the only players listed for us when it comes to OPS. Mark Antonio, the 2nd highest in franchise history. Jorge Garza with the 8th highest in franchise history. And then for single season, we've got 2 McCoy years. We've got 2 Mark Antonio years. And then when it comes to WAR, Brooks Lee, the highest career WAR for a Marlins player with a 45.5 WAR. We have Dylan Head with 4th in that category. Agustin Ramirez with 5th in that category. Jorge Garza is 6th. Eshedri Vargas is 7th. Wilfredo Lara is 8th. And Mark Antonio, because he's been DHing the whole time, is 10th. And then when it comes to single season, we have the 6th highest with Garza, the 8th highest with Garza, and then Mark Antonio with the 9th highest with Brooks Lee getting on the very bottom of the list at number 10. And then most games played here in Marlins history, Brooks Lee with 1,610 games. Then it's Eshedri Vargas, Agustin Ramirez, Dylan Head, all top 4. Lara is 6th. Most runs scored, that's also Brooks Lee. He's all over this list. Vargas is 2. Dylan Head is 5th. Ramirez is 6th. Lara is 8th. Garza is 9th. Mark Antonio's got the most in a single season with 130. And then we also have him at 6th with 120. And then Vargas 9th with 117 in 2033. When it comes to hits in a career, Brooks Lee, 1,584 career hits with the Marlins. Vargas is 2. Ramirez is 4. Head is 5. Garza is 8. And then for when it comes to single season, we did not have anybody come up on that list. The most doubles, though, that is Brooks Lee by a really huge margin. 412 doubles leads the Marlins franchise for Brooks Lee. And then Vargas is number 2 with 293. The real-life leader is Mike Lowell with 241. So absolutely lapping the field here is Brooks Lee, essentially. I mean, just absolutely an insane number. He had 55 in one season in 2031. He also had 44 in 2027. You've also got Eshedri Vargas on here and Mark Antonio on here with 45 double seasons, respectively, in 34 and 35. The triples leader is Jorge Garza. He's been hitting a ton of triples here for us, beating out Luis Castillo and Juan Pierre even, which is pretty damn impressive. Dylan Head is 4th, Vargas is 6th, and those are the Augustin Ramirez with 8th on the triples career list here. Not quite as many in a single season as Juan Pierre had here in 05 and 04, but we do have Garza getting 10 in a season and also 9 in a season. And then home runs in a career, nobody quite getting to that number with 267 for Giancarlo Stanton. But Eshedri Vargas is number 2 with 190. We also have Agustin Ramirez with 170, Brooks Lee with 155, Lara with 153, Mark Antonio with 149, and that would be it from our team. But Jalen McCoy, if we kept playing this, if this game actually worked, Jalen McCoy probably would end up getting at least close to this record, I'd have to imagine, because he does have back-to-back seasons of 49 and 43, which is number 2 and number 3 in home runs in a single season, only being topped by the 59 of Giancarlo Stanton in 2017. You also have Mark Antonio on this list for a year, or for 2 years even. And then when it comes to RBI in a career, it is Brooks Lee, Vargas 1-2, Ramirez is 4th, Garza is 7th, Lara is 8th, Mark Antonio is 10th, and then for a single season, McCoy is number 2 behind Giancarlo, Mark Antonio on here twice, and then for stolen bases, Dylan Head, huge lead on this number, 461 career stolen bases for Dylan Head is just absolutely throttling Luis Castillo's number. Brooks Lee's number 3 right behind Castillo. Garza's number 6. Ramirez, the catcher, is on here. Same with Vargas and Lara. And then for stolen bases in a single season, number 1 is Dylan Head with 68. Then you have Pierre with 65. Head with 64. Head's on here again with 60. And just insane stolen base man for us from only many, many years. Walks for the leader is Brooks Lee. Not quite as, he wasn't putting up 140 walk seasons like Gary Sheffield was, but he does have the 3rd, that's Derek Lee, what am I saying? That's not Brooks Lee. Doesn't have any single season. We have Mark Antonio is 10th, but Brooks Lee never had the most in a single season. But for a career here in the Marlins, he is number 1, Lara's number 4, Vargas number 5, Ramirez number 8, and then Dylan Head is number 9. Derek Dietrich is the career hit by pitch. Damn, I didn't realize that he was getting hit by pitch that much when he was in Miami, but apparently he was 24 and 21. Isaac Paredes had 20 in 2028. I did not realize that, but Vargas is 2, Ramirez is 3, and then we do have number 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 on the strikeouts for a career leader, but most of these are in, I mean, Brooks Lee is getting a ton more ABs than Giancarlo is. Ramirez, he struck out a decent amount, but none of these guys are striking out a ton. And I mean, you look at the strikeouts in a single season, we've only got one guy on this list, or 2 guys, I guess. We have Camilo Diaz, who struck out 170 times. That 1 year he played a ton of games for us, and then Connor Norby in season 1 of this Marlins series, because that was the year we sucked, and Connor Norby was not really anything for us. He was one of the only okay-ish hitters on that 2025 team. But then just a reminder to go through here what we started off with, 2025, winning 69 games, and then immediately from that point on forward, 2026 through 2036, making the playoffs every year except for 2028, where we had a really, really weird year where we only won 80 games. We were -7 on the Pythagorean, and just had a really weird season. Missed out in the playoffs, but ever since then, just 98, 95, and then 6 straight seasons of 100-plus wins, and somehow only 1 World Series championship in 2027. And then we could have also just looked at this list here. I haven't ever looked at this in this series, the manager history and the transactions history. Might as well look at this as a way to wrap up the series. There you have the history of Craig Finn as a GM here in the Marlins. And then when it comes to our best and worst trades, the best trade was the Sandy Alcantara trade, which I do believe I remember one specifically comment being like, oh, you're an idiot for not just going for the best player you can rather than the multi-player deal. Obviously, Funderburk was okay for us. Gonzalez never did anything. Peyton Eels was just around for a while. Mike Paredes never did anything. But Brooks Lee is one of the greatest players in Marlins franchise history here. And, best trade. We gained 45.4 WAR in that deal. Pretty damn good stuff. Derek Hill, trading him and Connor Norby to the Dodgers for Hurston Waldrop, Bobby Miller, Peter Hubick, Peyton Martin. We gained 23.7 WAR in that deal. The majority of it with Hurston Waldrop, but Bobby Miller had a couple of decent seasons for us. Peyton Martin was a 3-time All-Star out of the bullpen for us. I think they were all with us, weren't they? Yeah, 31, 32, and 33 as a reliever for us. So that's our second best trade. The third best was Otto Lopez and Edward Cabrera to the Mets for Christian Scott, Sean Manaea. Those guys, we only gained 5.5 WAR in that. Christian Scott was a good pitcher for us for a few seasons. Sean Manaea had like 2 seasons with us before. 1 season. He had 1 season with us where we got him and he was really good. We won the World Series and then we let him walk and he had a couple good years after that. But, his career is pretty much over at that point. And then the last but not least, or I guess it is the last trade, it is the least trade, was getting Ivar Kett from the... I mean, that's pretty insane. That just shows you, like, how little trading I did in this. That was ever really, like, a big trade. That the least... The trade that's shown on here is trading Tim Oliva to the Cubs for Ivar Kett, who barely played for us. And, had a decent playoff run for us that 1 year. And then the worst trades for us, I mean, we have 2 of these where we're gaining double-digit WAR, and then the worst ones we're losing like 7.9, 7.6. Like, we traded Luis Serna to the Giants we traded him, and then we got Eric Silva, Nick Zwack. Luis Serna, I guess, ended up being pretty good for the Giants for a bit. Yeah, he put up a couple decent seasons of, like, bad ERA, decent FIP in their rotation. Who cares? Then it's this catching trade. I do remember this guy. He was like a decent catcher for the Cardinals for a bit. Still is with the Cardinals. We look at his numbers. He's had a couple like good backup seasons where he was like good defensively, a couple good decent offensively seasons. But just a consistent like backup for the Cardinals. I mean, that's the type of stuff we're talking about missing out on here. And we got Drew Rasmussen, who I believe was good for us, wasn't he? Where did we even get him? 10 starts, he was really good. Or 10 games, 5 starts, he was really good. I think he pitched in the playoffs for us as well. So, Drew Rasmussen, that's the stuff we're talking about here. Like, the second worst trade we did was they got a backup catcher from us, and we got a guy who was a rental postseason pitcher for us. Like, okay. And then there's the Amishai trade, which was in 2033 for Alex Moeda, who Alex Moeda is completely cooked, obviously. The Nick Johnson trade, I thought this would be worse than it was, but it's only 4.2 WAR. And then there's also the Angel Cheville trade for Joseph King, or we traded Joseph King for Angel Cheville, who I guess was like still pretty good once we traded him. Yeah, I guess he put up a couple like okay seasons where he was split between the bullpen and the rotation, but we're not talking about a huge number here. Pretty good trades overall. You look at these sorted by individual players. One, Brooks Lee, Garza, the best acquisitions. This is the international free agent signs. We have Brooks Lee by trade, Garza by international free agent, same with Mark Antonio, Patino by scouting discovery, Waldrop by trade, Garcia by international free agent, Elizalde scouting discovery, and then Ramon Hernandez and Jalen McCoy. With Luke Garreau were the only draft picks on this list because... I don't know. Every time I would draft a guy, I would draft them, and then you would sim a week, and then all their ratings would just tank down to nothing. That's hardly my fault. That's just how the game is. I don't know. They just ruined how the draft works this year with the combine and all that bullshit. But anyways, we still get Hernandez, McCoy, and Garreau from the draft picks. Michael King was a free agent signing, and Jose Hernandez was a scouting discovery. All the greatest losses. Tony Martinez as a Rule 5 pick. Sure, ended up being a really good pitcher for the Los Angeles Angels, whatever, didn't really lose out much. Amishai by trade, Cesar Duran was a Rule 5 pick, apparently also on the Angels. Sure. There's the backup catcher, Cerno, we already talked about. Brendan Summerhill ended up being like a decent defensive player for a bit with Toronto, I guess. Sure, like we're not talking about a huge number of WAR here. Camilo Diaz had 1 good season. Like, we're talking about, He had one good season after leaving us, and then immediately went back to being just a not good player. Edward Cabrera is on this list. Alec Thomas, who we had for like one season and was not good. And then there's Joseph King, Alcantara, and Mauricio Soto. So, like, greatest losses, we lost it in 3 WAR of Sandy Alcantara, but we gained 45.5 from Brooks Lee. I'm willing to take that as one of our greatest losses. And then just to show what we've done with the fan loyalty and the fan interest here with the Marlins, the fan loyalty we just saw got up to very good. The market size is still small. The fan interest is currently sitting at 95, and we're pretty much like good chunks of selling out Lone Depot Park. Consistently like a mid-tier budget in Major League Baseball. That's pretty good for the Marlins, I would say. And as far as what we were going to be doing at OOTP 25, it's, probably just another picking a standard team starting from the opening of that season and then just going as far as we can up until OOTP 27, maybe? I don't know how long we'll be doing it, but maybe we'll do that. I don't know. Just until I don't feel like posting anymore, probably. And also just hoping that OOTP 27 does not have 9 million issues that are completely game-breaking, like this one does. I have not decided what team the OOTP 25 series will be, but when I do decide that, you will obviously know, because there will be a video in your sub box. Is it even a sub box anymore? I guess it's a feed? I don't know. I do have some teams in mind, and of course, we'll make it as interesting as possible as we try to move things on with our next team here in what'll be the next time I'm posting OOTP. So I believe this is probably just going to be like a, hey, series over, this is how the Marlins went, shortish video here on Wednesday, I believe is what will be posted. So Friday will be the OOTP 25 return.